So today we're going to workshop pigeon pose, and I'll give you a few different variations that will be helpful for you to figure out what the best way to access the pose is. For some of us, traditional pigeon pose is too much pressure on the knee and can cause knee pain. If that is you, don't worry, there are many other variations you can try, not limited to this video, but we'll just go over about 3 or 4 different options. So we're just going to workshop today. So if you're not warmed up, you're just getting out of bed, it might be good to go for a little walk, get things moving a little bit. We will begin with a few warm up postures just to make sure that we're not getting into a deep hip opener, deep hip stretch, which is what pigeon is on a cold body. So let's actually begin in Shavasana. Go ahead and lay back onto your back, extending the legs and the arms. Begin to take a few rounds of deep breath. Settling the body onto the earth. Settling the mind onto the body. And settling the breath. Coming into a steady rhythm of full inhalations and extended exhalations. And begin to bend the knees, walking the heels back towards your hips. And just gently lower the knees to one side and then the other, like gentle windshield wipers. You can grasp onto either side of your mat. If you'd like to hold on a little bit, help stabilize yourself. And then bringing the knees to stillness, again, walking the heels in. Our first pigeon variation is supine figure 4. So supine means on your back, figure 4. So we're gonna lift that right ankle and cross it over the left knee. Press the right knee away. And you can stay here if this is enough of a sensation for you. If you'd like to take it a little bit deeper, if you need a little bit more sensation, you can lift that left knee up, reach your hands around the hamstring of the left leg, and gently pull that left leg towards you, meanwhile, energetically pressing that right knee away. Flex your feet. Make sure your shoulder blades and back are relaxed on the mat. Slight tuck of the chin. So here's our supine figure 4. I like to add a little movement, rocking the hips left and right a little bit. That's an option. Keep the jaw and the face relaxed. Don't go too deep here. This is our first one. Just introduce the shapes. And when you're ready to switch sides, gently stop the movement. Release that left leg down. Extend the right leg long towards the ceiling. And then lower that right foot to the mat. Realign by walking the heels in line with the hips, about hip width distance apart. And then cross that left ankle over the right knee. Same thing, other side. Maybe you stay here, pressing that left knee away, feeling that openness in the hip. You can also just do side to side here if you want to try that. If you need a little bit more sensation, lift that right foot off the mat. Reach between the legs to grab the right hamstring or right behind the right knee. Your ankle is going to be off the right thigh, flexing the feet. Draw that right leg towards you as you energetically press that left knee away. Relax the spine and the neck onto the mat. Slight tuck of the chin. Soften the face. Gentle rocking left and right if you took that on the other side. And as we go through these variations, notice which ones feel good, which ones you find yourself straining for, and be gentle with yourself. We give options so that there's something for everyone. Start where you're at. Enjoy the process. And don't do something if it hurts. All right, so we're going to slow down our rocking, allow the hips to become centered. Release that right foot back to the mat. Extend the left leg long towards the sky, and then plant it back down. Maybe a couple more windshield wipers. And then hug the knees in towards your chest. Begin rocking up and down the spine until you come up to a seat or maybe even a squat if you're able to press up to that. If not, that's okay. All right, plant your hands and meet me in our tabletop position. We'll take a couple cat and cows and hip circles. So hands are about as wide as your shoulders, knees under your hips. Inhale, drop the belly, lift the tailbone, lift the back of the head, lift the gaze. Exhale, curl the spine, tucking the chin, gazing back at your belly. And continue with a few rounds, inhaling and exhaling. And then begin to wag the tail. So press the left hip out towards the left as you curve your body in towards the right. So the right shoulder and the right hip are kind of coming towards each other. Back to center. And exhale, press out through that right hip as you curve to the left, as if you were a little puppy trying to catch its tail. Gonna take 1 or 2 more rounds of that. And then find your neutral tabletop. We're gonna take some hip circles. So lifting that right knee off the mat. Let's begin with some slow circles with the knees, like you're drawing with a pencil on the wall. Slowly making each revolution a little bigger and a little bigger. And then gently stop and switch directions, erasing those circles, starting big, making the circle a little smaller each round. Finding a good rhythm, not too fast. And then gently lowering that right knee to the mat once you've closed in your circles, and then just take it to the other side. Lift the left knee off the mat, tiny little circles one direction. Slowly getting bigger, a little bigger. After a few rounds, as wide as you can go, gently stop, and then erase those circles going the opposite direction, starting wide, slowly making those circles smaller and smaller. And lowering that knee back on the mat. Send the right leg to the back, toes down, heel presses back. And then we're going to lift that right arm up and find stargazer pose. So open the front body towards the long side of the mat. Right arm reaches up. Press up through that right hip. So as you're finding lift on that right hip. Maybe the right arm comes up overhead. Inhale, reach, side body stretch. Exhale, cactus arm. Inhale, reach up overhead. And then exhale, lower that right hand down. Keeping that right leg back. Now we're going to cross it over the left leg. And finding that hip stretch, lean towards the left. Use your right hand, pressing down into the mat to press yourself towards the left. Send a few breaths here. And then coming back to center. Right leg extends back. Lower that right knee down, other side. Extend the left leg back, toes down. And we'll take our stargazer. This time the right hand plants. Pivot on that knee, lower the left foot, reach the left arm up. Open the side, the body to the other long edge side of the mat. Reaching up with that left hand, then lower it over the ear. Inhale, stretch, reach with the fingertips, press up through that left hip. Exhale, cactus arm. Inhale, reach up overhead. Exhale, lower that left hand to the mat, coming back to our tabletop with the left leg extended. Now we're going to take that left leg and cross it behind the right. And press into that left hand to curve your body to look over your right shoulder, finding that stretch on the outer left hip. And we'll breathe here. Exhale it out. Coming back to center, extend that left leg long, and then lower that knee down. Shift the hips back, and now let's get into our first variation of pigeon. We're going to begin in Baddha Konasana, bound angle pose. So bringing the soles of the feet together in front of you, knees gently releasing towards the mat. So sometimes in Pigeon and other classes, you'll find moving into Pigeon from a downward facing dog. And if that works great for you, no need to change it up unless you want to change it up. But that can be a little difficult for some people. So this has been a way that was introduced to me through one of the teachers that I trust and follow a lot, Jason Crandell. So this is a great way to get into Pigeon. So feel free in any class you're in, if any transition doesn't work for you and you know it, take the way that you know, including in my classes. Take a pause, get down on the mat, take a break, do whatever you need to do to find the shape that is easiest for your body to get into the next posture. So that being said, here we are in our Baddha Konasana, and we're just going to kind of lean to the left, lowering that left hip down. And then we're going to take that right knee down to the mat, finding deer pose, which we do a lot in my classes. This is very similar, arguably the same thing. We're just going to focus on making it more 90-degree angles. So from the hip to the knee to the ankle, making that a 90-degree, a nice half square, I guess you could call it. And then this knee that's next to us, our right knee, is going to be at a 90-degree angle too. So maybe you need to send that knee back a little bit. And again, if this isn't working for you, don't worry, we've got other variations. If you need to take traditional, deer, if that's a traditional posture, whatever variation, however far your knee needs to be up to make it comfortable and stable and workable for you, remember, do that. But if you'd like to try the 90-90 Pigeon, 90 degrees with both legs, we're going to spread our wings wide, lift from the chest like a very proud pigeon, relaxing the shoulders down the back. And you can stay here, or you can begin to bring the heart forward, hinging at the hips. So we're just going to lower down and curl the spine. We're going to roll the shoulders down the back, slight tuck of the tailbone, find some lift out of the pelvis, press the fingertips down, lifting through the heart, and then maybe walking the fingertips forward to get a little bit more intensity if you need it. So play around for a few moments and few breaths on this side with our 90-90 Pigeon. When you found a spot that you like, that you want to work with, quiet the body, quiet the mind, follow the breath, and inhale and exhale. Relaxing through the jaw, anywhere else you tend to hold tension. We'll take about 3 more rounds of breath once you found your posture. Final exhale out. We're going to walk the fingertips back. And then just kind of lean to the side and bring that right foot back to bound angle pose right in front, and we'll switch sides. So leaning to the right this time, sending that left leg down. Find your 90-degree angles with both legs, or whatever degree angles works for you. And then find some lift, fingertips down, lengthen the spine, lift the heart. Slight engagement of the belly, so you're not leaning forward or curling back. And then maybe walking the fingertips forward, widening them as you go. Nice wide wings. Lift the chest. Inhale, exhale into your pigeon variation. Being gentle, maybe one side you can go a little further than the other. Working with yourself here. And just breathe. Soften the gaze, soften the jaw. And take about 3 more rounds of breath in this variation. After your final exhale, lift the gaze, walk the fingertips back slowly. Now, if that pigeon variation didn't really do much for you, you want to take it a little bit more, get a little bit more sensation. This is a great starting point for the more traditional pigeon posture. So keeping the fingertips wide, we're going to go right into pigeon on this side. And you're just going to walk that left knee and the left foot back. trying to keep that front leg as parallel as possible. So here we are. Your hip points are both pressing downward towards the mat. So we're not, one hip isn't to the side. We're centered over the bowl of the pelvis. And this can be where a prop can come in handy. So you can always prop up your bottom there. And we draw that energy up through the legs, scissoring the legs together. We're going to find a little bit of that lift, engagement of the root lock, mula bandha. So finding some lift here. If you want to take it deeper, keep widening the fingertips. We're not just going to fall over the front of pigeon. Keep the heart lifted, keep the belly engaged, pressing the hip points down towards the earth. So here we are. If you'd like to take it even deeper, you can take the opposite forearm. So my right leg is in front. So my left forearm is going to come down to the earth, fingertips wide, and just kind of spin the heart towards the ceiling. You'll feel a little bit more sensation in that right side. So play around a little bit with that. Maybe staying up here is just enough for you. Find where you'd like to breathe and then spend 3 rounds of unhurried breath. Relaxing the shoulders down the back, relaxing the jaw and the face. After your third exhale, coming back up to your fingertips if you're not already there. And we're just gonna lower the right hip to the mat and take that left leg and cross it over, spending a brief moment in our cow face pose. Stacking the knees, rolling the shoulders down the back, lengthening through the spine. Inhale and exhale. And then take pigeon on the other side. Left leg is going to come in front and bring that right leg around to find first that 90-90 or your deer pose. Fingertips down, and then from here, walking that right foot back. If you're trying this pigeon variation, no obligation whatsoever. So walking that right leg in line behind you. So I'm going to come this way so you can see from this angle. So front leg is parallel to the top of the mat. I'm just going to wiggle those left toes and that left leg straight behind you like a tail. Now, my hips are not down like this. I'm propped up. All right. Left shin as parallel to the top of the mat as you can get it. Again, scissor those legs in. Maybe even finding a little lift off the fingertips. That's what we want to work on, that lift and that strength. So we strengthen to lengthen. Stretching comes from engaging muscles and strengthening them, not loosening them. That's where you can find some injury. So always focus on strengthening before stretching. So if this is good for your pigeon, stay here. If you'd like to try taking it a little bit deeper, you can lower that right forearm down, left fingertips come to the mat, and pull that left shoulder back as you spin gently the heart open towards the left side, towards the ceiling. Find whatever pigeon variation you'd like to play in, or maybe you just sit there and watch for 3 rounds of breath. Left hip pulls back, right hip pulls forward. Engaging the root lock. Coming back up to the hands. Now we lower to that left hip and cross that right leg over the left, finding cow face legs. And even it all out here. Take a few rounds of breath, seated as tall as you can. And breathe it out. And from here, our final variation we'll be introducing today is double pigeon, also called fire log. So you're already got your knees stacked. What we're just going to do is kind of loosen so that the legs are now stacked in fire log. So we're going to begin with this right leg on top. In front is what we're going to start with for a pigeon on this side. Your lower ankle is going to pull it in closer to your hip if you'd like. Make sure your right foot is off the side of your left thigh, maybe flexing the foot. All right. So you can stay here if this is plenty for you. If you'd like to engage a little bit more, wrap that right arm underneath the left so that you can press your left knee down into the crook of your right arm. Left fingertips down here. And you'll feel it pretty immediately. So we're squeezing the arm and the knee together. Press the knee down and press this left shin down as well. Still find some length in the spine, and you'll feel that bringing that strength to stretch. So play around with that, keeping the heart open, the face relaxed. Breathe. Deep breaths are important. Hip openers can help us release stored emotions, stored traumas. So if you find yourself getting a little emotional either now or later on, just let it flow. Yoga's doing its job. Take care of yourself. Gently release that right hand if you took that variation. And we're just going to switch sides. So maybe you walk your hands back, lowering the right leg now down, crossing the left ankle over the right knee, finding our fire log pose. Again, a prop can be helpful here. If you'd like to prop up any part of the body, making the floor a little bit closer to you or finding a little bit more grounding and support. From fire log, we're going to take this left foot and wiggle that left heel in towards our left hip a little bit, if you'd like. You can also keep it right here for a little bit more sensation, but I'm going to tuck it in a little bit. All right, so here, again, spread your wings wide, fingertips down, heart lifts and pulls forward, finding that tension, that feels so good, tension in the left hip. If that's not enough, just cradle that left leg with your left arm, press the left knee down into your left arm. Press your right shin down into the mat. Find some space in the heart. Inhale, lengthen, slight tuck of the chin, and then pull the heart forward. Take a few rounds of breath, readjust as you need. And we'll spend about 3 or 4 more rounds of breath on this side, even it out. When you feel even on both sides, gently release that tension of the leg and the arm. Walk the hands back up. Send the arms back behind you, uncross the legs. Take a few windshield wipers left and right. Good. And then we're just going to come to our backs. Close out with some counterbalancing pose. Draw the knees in towards your chest. Squeeze them in. And then release the squeeze, keeping the knees bent and kind of tucked in. We're going to cross that right knee over the left. Clasp your fingertips together over that right knee and pull down with the knees into the chest. Tuck the chin. Another little hip stretch here. And gently release. And we're going to take a twist. So lower both legs all the way to the left. Extend the right leg or the right arm long next to you. Let your gaze follow over the right shoulder. Inhale back to center. Uncross the legs. Take wide-legged supine fold. And then cross that left knee over the right. Clasp the fingertips together. Place them around the right knee this time and draw those legs down towards your stomach, towards your chest. Lengthen through the back of the neck. Soften your gaze. And then we're going to lower the knees to the right this time. So the legs go to the right. Your left arm extends out to the left. Let your gaze follow. And breathe. Inhale the gaze back to center. Bring the knees back to center. Uncross the legs, widen them. Then bring the feet together, bending the knees, planting the feet back on the mat. Tuck the knees in towards your chest, roll up to sit. We'll take a forward fold. Extend the legs long out in front of you. You can prop yourself up if you need a little extra support for our forward fold. This is good for tight hamstrings, or if you find forward fold uncomfortable, just prop the hips up a little bit. All right, shoulders relaxed down the back, finding those fingertips tented up. Lift up out of the pelvis, press the fingertips and the hip points down. Relax the shoulders. Inhale, reach the arms up, keeping the shoulders relaxed in their sockets. Bringing the belly forward, hinging at the hips. Take your forward fold. Spin the inner thighs down. Lengthen on the inhales. Maybe bringing the heart a little bit more forward on the exhales. Good. One more breath here. Inhale to come up. Move any props. And we're going to take it right back down to our back. Let's take one bridge pose. Walking the heels in, feet hips width distance apart, palms down. On the inhale, lifting from the belly. Lift the hips off the mat. If you'd like to take your bridge a little higher, clasp your fingertips behind, underneath you. Wiggle the shoulder blades together, forearms pressing down on the mat. Squeeze the imaginary block between your thighs. Keep the butt relaxed. Keep the neck relaxed. Breathe. See if you can take the slowest inhale and the slowest exhale you've had all day. To release, lower down on your next exhale. Taking your time. Take a few windshield wipers left and right with the knees. And then walk the feet about hips width distance apart. Lower the knees down in towards each other. So the knees are falling in towards each other. And let's just rest them here for a few moments. Notice sensation in the hips. If you'd like, you can take cactus arms here. I like to grab either elbow over my head. Just a little different sensation through the spine. You can stay here as long as you need. When you're ready, lift the knees, walk the feet back together. Bring the soles of the feet together and open the knees, supine, Baddha Konasana. Bring one hand to your heart and one hand to your belly. Spin a few rounds of breath here. And you can take this back and forth motion of bringing the knees together, walking the feet wide, and then lowering the knees down towards each other. And that supine Baddha Konasana, if that feels good. Opening and the closing, the inward and the outward movement of the legs and hips. Maybe one feels better for you than the other. So follow that. To counterbalance postures, it's important to listen in towards your body and see what it needs and follow along with that. When you're done, take a happy baby, reaching between the knees, grabbing the toes of the ankles, widening the knees out, drawing them down, pulling the heart open. And then any variation, of course, you can rock side to side. I like to extend one leg and then the other. Any final twists, heart openers, things you need before closing out our little pigeon practice. Do so now. And then don't skip your Shavasana. Spend at least 12, 15 rounds of breath, laying silent and still on your back. Letting the effects of the posture breathe through the body. Spending a few meditative moments just here in with yourself, listening to the sound of your heartbeat, the sound of the breath now relaxed, just letting your body take over. Closing the eyes or blocking the sensations, feeling what it means to be alive. Enjoy this rest as long as you need.